how to balance and harmonize all the different hats that he wears and everything that he does and still maintain energy. The ones that succeed, they show up. Wisdom is learning the same lesson over and over again till it finally sticks. Welcome to the Strength Connection Podcast, a show to share stories, insights, and experiences in strength, physically, mentally, and spiritually. I'm Michael Kurkowski, host of the Strength Connection, and I'm so grateful that you can join me today. So in these episodes, I connect with some of the most inspiring and successful individuals to chop it up and learn from true life experiences that have helped them become who they are, the strongest versions of themselves. One of the greatest ways I've always learned the most important lessons is through stories. We all have them, and they make us who we are. So let's dive in. Here we go. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Strength Connection Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Kurkowski. Thank you for joining me. So this is a solo episode. It's me and you. Hope you're crushing it wherever you are and having a great weekend. We're going to dive right into it here. Main thing I want to do, I want to share a story with you guys. It was something I was thinking about while going for a run. And that's kind of where my mind wanders the most, and I kind of allow it to, is when I go running. And when you do that, sometimes memories and these stories just pop up out of nowhere that you haven't thought about in a while. So I'm going to share that with you. Beforehand, I'm going to just jump into a couple recaps here and we'll have a good time. So if you didn't listen yet, I strongly urge you to listen to this episode that we released this week with Todd Durkin. If you've been in the strength and conditioning world, then you know Todd needs no introduction. He is a world-renowned speaker and coach from Fitness Quest 10. And I've been looking forward to speaking with Todd ever since I started podcasting. He's one of those guys that I was so pumped up to interview and have a chance to go one-on-one with him and ask him about just not only the work that he does, but his life, his work-life balance, his faith, how he intertwines everything together. And it was truly a magical experience to have with Todd. He is so energized. He is so on point. If anybody thinks like if he is he different off the air versus on the air, he is the exact same person. We chatted for like 20 minutes before he even got started, chatted for like another 15, 20 minutes afterwards. Like, this guy is so determined to make an impact positively in the world. And he's impacted so many already, and he's just continuing just to barrel through, just redlining his RPMs every day. But he really had a lot of things that I found huge takeaways with. The one he talked about a lot was the mellow yellow and the blue sky time, which I've talked about a lot on this podcast already, but how to balance and harmonize all the different hats that he wears and everything that he does and still maintain energy. And one, he has such a powerful vision of what he's doing, and that keeps him revved up every day because he has such a powerful mission of what he's trying to accomplish. But he really takes that time to unwind and completely unplug. And he talked about that, where for many years, he was not that guy. He was 7 days a week, just grinding every single day. High performers, I've known 1.5 billion, like that. You go from there. Then you recognize that actually that time away is so beneficial for the other time that you have. It's not just good for your personal health and for that time just to take a break, but it actually does increase your productivity in the other time. That was one of the big takeaways I got. But if you haven't listened to that, please just go back, cue that one up, and enjoy. It was like 1 hour and 10 minutes that we just dove into and blast there. So next week I have my conversation with Anna Clark coming on. Anna is a really fascinating coach. She owns Nexus Studios in New York City, and she's combined both like hardstyle kettlebell training with Pilates and yoga in her studio. And from the work that she does, she has 6,000 members and people that go into her program. She is doing something right. And I got a chance to dive into her process and really about her life of growing up in New York as a professional dancer and how she got into all these different modalities and how she's intertwined them together with it. Personally, I know nothing about Pilates. It's not something I've ever done before. The way she described it and brought it in with the strength aspects of what she does, it was really awesome to do. So she's doing something right. I hope one time I can get down to New York and check out her studios in there. But that's going to be out coming up next Tuesday. And then we'll get right back to this episode. But first, I want to tell you about Nabosu Technology. Nabosu is the leading company in foot care products created by the top functional podiatrist and human movement specialist, Dr. Emily Splickle and her team. Our feet are a connection to the earth and the foundation of all human movement. And it's often the most overlooked part of our body when it comes to health, fitness, and recovery. Personally, I never thought much of how the foot impacts my movement and strength until years ago when I found my intense sciatic pain I was dealing with was coming from a locked up midfoot and ankle issue. So after putting emphasis on this, my pain subsided completely. And since then, I've made sure to take care of my feet before anything else in training. I use the Nabosu NeuroBall every day, whether I'm training or not, and I felt significantly better in both my barefoot strength training as well as running outside on grass and on pavement. Nabosu has the best products on the market, including the NeuroBall, recovery socks, splays, activation insoles, and the kinesis boards and mats. So to check out Nabosu Technology, click on the link in the comments or go to nabosutechnology.com and use the code CONNECTION and get an additional 10% off your purchase. Again, that's the code CONNECTION. Use it to get 10% off. All right, now let's get back to it. This week had a fascinating conversation with Mark England, who is, that episode will be coming out in a few weeks after this. And Mark's the owner and co-founder of Enlifted. And that is a company where he focuses on words and stories, the power of words and stories. And he is so deep on the mindset front. He's a great connection from Megan Henry, who's been on the podcast. So if you listen to that one and that resonated with you, you're going to want to listen to Mark. What he did is, we talk about mindset all the time. And after I spoke about it to him off the air, it's like, I hate that word in many ways. I hate using that word too. It's like, I don't like it just because there's so many misinterpretations and misdefinitions of it, of like, what the heck is mindset? And he just kind of broke it down. It's like, it's the story that we tell ourselves. And the way that you say that is because the story changes and evolves all the time. So that's where your mindset is. And I was like, that's as good of a definition as I could ever get into. And when he talks about that, the story and the words that we use, he gave actually some practical tips and some exercise. He actually did an exercise with me on the podcast about using words, about writing specific sentences, taking different words out, and how it changes how you view it. So to actually take these concepts of personal stories, about self-limiting beliefs, about mindset, and actually put it into practical applications of things you can take away and start executing and act on right away. I love speaking to people like that. Mark was one of those guys, and it was an absolute blast. And there's a few other people from Enlifted that are hopefully going to be diving in to the podcast soon, and I'll share those as they come up. So, so I want to talk about Linda. The story of Linda. So Linda's an old client of mine. I worked with Linda for a number of years, and this was a while ago. And so I haven't thought about her in quite a bit. And as I was going for a run and kind of let my mind wander, her face popped into my head, and some of the messages and conversations that we had started coming up too. And I wanted to share something that she taught me, and hopefully will resonate with you. So Linda came to me. She suffered from a very severe stroke. It left her with very limited mobility, nerve damage, her proprioception, like everything that happens from a stroke. A lot of that stuff happened to her. So she was mobile. She was self-sufficient. She could move her legs, but she lost a lot of strength, particularly in her legs, also in her left arm. And her speech was slurred as well. So, she could speak, we could have conversations, but it took a while to get to. I mean, there was some damages that happened from it. And she came to my old place I was working with, and we got a chance to connect and started working together because she wanted to increase mobility, stay self-sufficient, and build as much strength as she could, and, get back to, walking as much on her own as possible. So we started working together, and we were working twice a week and putting in the effort. And I'll never forget this one day. So one of the things we were working on was she was trying to get up out of a chair without any assistance, just her legs. And we worked on this a lot. And we started with very high elevation and working it there, and then slowly, progressing, so on and so forth. You know how the deal, goes. And she would get it once in a while. Like she got it a couple times, in a week. Like she got a rep, then maybe she got a second. It was very hard to get any more from that. And then one day she popped up and she got up and did like 8 reps in a row, just down, up, down. And I didn't even know what I was seeing. I was like, oh my God, just keep going. And then a couple other trainers that I worked with, remember, like they were working with clients and they just started looking out the corner of their eyes and they're like, is that actually happening? And we just kept rolling. That was an awestruck moment at that time. And I was like, wow, there's deeper things in the universe that are coming to works here, versus just our sets and reps that we were doing. That was really powerful. That alone, I remember so vividly. But the thing that I remembered and I was thinking about this weekend is we gave the same greeting every time that we saw each other. So she would come, she always got there very early to sessions, usually like maybe 15 minutes, sometimes like 30 minutes beforehand. One, because I think she wanted to make sure that she was on time because she knows she moved a bit slower. But she also would watch other people working out. She would encourage them on the side. She would smile. She would say, good job and stuff like that. And it was awesome to see. And then when it was our time to train, I would go up to her and it was the same greeting every time. Hey, Linda, what's happening today? And she'd look at me and she'd smile and she'd say, I'm here. She'd say, I'm here every time. She showed up. She showed up every single day. She missed a couple of days here and there when she got sick, but she showed up. She knew there was irreversible consequences from this stroke. She knew she was never going to fully get back to her mobility and her strength. But she knew that there was things that she could improve on, and she was determined to see what those were. But she knew that she had to show up. And she did. So every time we said that, hey, Linda, what's happening today? She goes, I'm here. And it was that, hey, I'm showing up for myself today. And she did. We'd do our work. It was no expectations of what we were going to make sure we accomplished on that day. She came in and we did the best that we could every day. And she improved something. She improved in great ways in her mobility, other ways in strength. It was very touch and go, and we were doing the best that we could. But she showed up every day. And I wanted to bring that out because, it's a story, it's a tale as old as time, right? I've heard this a million different times. Simplicity and consistency, it's the two masters. You got to show up for yourself. You got to show up. But so many still don't show up. We start getting into the overcomplicated thoughts of, I wonder if it's this. I wonder if it's this. I wonder this is why I'm not doing this. You can go through all that bullshit over and over again. I'm not saying it's like bullshit, like it's not even an excuse. Excuses are rational. Like sometimes an excuse, yeah, absolutely. That's great. Okay, what are you going to do about it? You got to show up. The ones that succeed, they show up, whether they're feeling great, whether they're not feeling great. They make adjustments. They switch things up. They get shit done and they show up. And I love this line of the definition of wisdom is, I forget where I heard this, but it's wisdom is learning the same lesson over and over again until it finally sticks. And I think that's a really great thing. It's that difference between knowledge and wisdom. We learn things over and over again. I am such a proponent of hearing the same good lessons over and over again, hearing those stories, hearing stories of Linda, hearing other stories of coaches or friends that I've seen, or client success, or people reaching out to me, telling me what they're working on. And so it's all amazing. It's all the great stuff. It's all in a similar box. We're all aiming for the same thing. We're trying to improve ourselves, trying to master our lives. First thing you got to do is you got to show up, and you got to do that again and again and again. And Linda, older woman, severe stroke victim, severely limited in her movements, showed up every day for herself. And that just stuck with me. And I was like, yeah, that's it. Just keep hammering that down. Everything else is awesome. to keep building on top of that. First things, you got to show up. Hope you take that and it resonates with you. Hopefully you're already doing it. Hopefully you're already showing up for yourself. But if you're not, learn from Linda. That's all I can say from that. All right, I'll leave it there, guys. Thank you so much. Really appreciate all your love, all your support in the podcast, and for listening to me. And hope you have a great day. I'll talk to you soon. Peace. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you found some great value here. And if you like this episode, please drop a comment and leave us a 5-star rating and review. It does more to build the show than you can imagine. And do not forget to check out and join the Strength Connection Facebook group. In this group, I share the biggest takeaways and lessons from these amazing conversations, as well as training and strength tips for pursuing mastery and fulfillment in life. This group is filled with individuals looking to take full control over their strength, and it's the perfect space to explore new ideas and to share your journey. And you'll also get exclusive access to these Strength Connection Mastery Seminars. It's a deep dive into the physical, mental, and spiritual training that you can begin using immediately. So do not wait, go now. Seriously, go. All right, much love to you. Thank you so much, and I'll catch you on the next one.